Welcome back. This is Jacob Klinger, your Steelers beat reporter, wrapping up yet another quietly busy week in the Steelers offseason before they head off to the Combine. Now on Tuesday, Joey Porter's legal proceedings, for all intents and purposes, appeared to have been finished. He pled guilty in a hearing to disorderly conduct where all of the charges were dropped against him. Remember, he had been charged on January 8th, arrested and charged on January 8th, the night after the Steelers' wildcard win. He faced up to, I believe it was aggravated assault, simple assault, trespassing, public drunkenness, disorderly conduct, making of terroristic threats, and resisting arrest. Everything else was dropped except the public drunkenness, or was said to have been dropped by the district attorney's office once they had seen surveillance video up to the day of the hearing, except public drunkenness and disorderly conduct. Public drunkenness was also dropped. His lawyer maintained afterwards that he was not drunk. He had been out to dinner with his family, and then he'd come to the club, or the bar, I should say, the Flats on Carson, which is on East Carson Street, and was not able to get in. Pittsburgh police released a couple of videos, one of like an overhead sort of angle and one from the street afterwards. It was a much less flared up confrontation than what was described in the police report. The arresting officer, Officer Paul Abel, did note to the judge at the hearing, I was there, that he just did not consent to the settlement of charges and wanted more of them pressed against Porter. It was just a very brief, let the record show I don't consent. He didn't, and then it was all settled. Porter got a $300 fine plus court costs. I watched his lawyer go into the courthouse with the money to pay it, and it was all done and dusted. The same lawyer, Robert Del Greco Jr., will actually be representing Darrelle Revis in a case that we continue to cover on PennLive. When another incident that happened on the south side. I wouldn't say it's a similar one because we don't know all the details of the case yet, frankly. But yeah, Joey Porter appears to be fine. One of his other lawyers said, we haven't heard from the NFL's investigation. The NFL can investigate and really do pretty much whatever it wants under the personal conduct policy. And when contacted, an NFL spokesperson told PennLive, look, it's just part of the personal conduct policy. So basically, you'll have to wait to hear anything. And so we will. The Steelers did make a few signings this week. They signed Ryan Malik, tight end. They signed a long snapper by the name of Cameron Canaday, and a punter by the name of A.J. Hughes. All you need to know about Canaday and Hughes is that if Canaday is a better long snapper than Greg Warren, he'll be the Steelers' long snapper. If Hughes is a better punter than Jordan Berry, he'll be the Steelers' punter. If not, they won't play for the Steelers this year. It's pretty much that simple. Both of those guys are really cheap, so are the guys they're trying to replace. It's really just one of those things where you probably won't hear their names past September when they would get cut if they don't beat out Greg Warren and Jordan Berry, respectively. The Steelers also signed Ryan Malik, who was a Virginia Tech tight end, who was with the New York Giants last preseason, and I believe he got hurt. So tight end's one of those positions where you can tell pretty quickly, like rookie minicamp, maybe even minicamp OTAs quickly, if a guy is going to be able to contribute. Even Xavier Grimble last year, who ended up playing a little bit for the Steelers, it was clear he could do some things. This guy will know pretty quickly if he can or can't. Ladarius Green being able to go or not go in the fall will obviously be a pretty big variable in that position. There is no offseason concussion protocol, so we can't really say where he's at right now. Just Mike Tomlin left it at the end of the year where he's going to be evaluated, and the Steelers will take it from there. But Kevin Colbert, the general manager, did maintain last week that the Steelers did get what they bought. So take that for what it's worth. Lastly, the Steelers are headed to the Combine, where the whole proceeding of working out and interviews, and really it seems like it's going to be an unprecedented media brouhaha this year. That begins next week, starting on Tuesday. We'll be there. One of the things I'm really looking for is trying to substantiate how much the Steelers are in the quarterback market. Now, they're going to scout everyone, regardless of need. That's just how they determine doing a responsible job of scouting the draft. But the thing that is interesting to me is the Steelers aren't going to be in the market for a Mitch Trubinsky because he's supposedly the best quarterback this year. He's probably going to come off the board, and that'll be it. But, the high end for the Steelers is probably like a Deshaun Watson. And I'm really interested to see how much the quarterback class sort of shuffles around and how deep it really goes. Because if we're talking about a guy like Watson being available with the 30th overall pick, maybe it does make sense for the Steelers to get him. You know, they play with an ostensibly mobile quarterback right now. He's one as well. And his throwing is generally underrated, I think, just publicly and sort of overarchingly. But they're not going to get those top quarterbacks. That being said, general manager Kevin Colbert said the Steelers are going to have to replace and have a replacement plan in place for Ben Roethlisberger at some point. It's just a matter of when. Based on a lot of what we'll see at the Combine and in succeeding pro days and private workouts, we'll have a really good idea if that now is in 2017. That's all I've got. I'll be checking in with you guys from Indianapolis next week, where I'll be staying for 5 days. Booked a bed and breakfast with this really cute dog. I stayed there when the Steelers played the Colts in Indianapolis on Thanksgiving. I'm really excited about that. Our makeup artist never showed up again. We're probably going to fire that person, which should be easy because they never existed. I, however, am very real. So is our coverage, and we'll have plenty for you next week from Indianapolis at the NFL Combine. I hope you enjoyed today. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up in the comment section and our messages on Twitter, just anything but Google+. Because that's not real. I'll see you guys.